Hey everybody, thank you for subscribing and welcome to another episode of The Urban Gardener. I'm out tonight, late in my garden. We're out in the search for snails and slugs. They are out tormenting and eating a lot of our vegetables in the garden. We got to get out sometimes when they're out doing what they're doing. We're going to go see if we can't pick some up, get them out of our garden. Alright, so we get our flashlight out here. We get down in. We look for these little guys. Right here. Snag them up. Toss them out. Look, I got my nice pumpkin I planted out the other day. But if we look right off to the side, look who else has an interest in my plant. Not too far along behind them either. Now, slugs and snails are going to be in your garden. You're going to see them around. They're going to be hiding mostly during the daytime. They'll be out in the nighttime eating away at your plants. If your first lines of defense, though, is to get out here, search them out when they're out hunting. Let's get rid of that guy real quick. And look what we got here in our raised bed above ground container garden. Look at that guy. Just going to town on these radishes with him and his little babies. Look at these guys. Look on the other side. Spots you can't necessarily see. Make sure you're looking around as well. They'll be hiding back there as well. Look, I'm going to town on this lettuce. Look at how many of these we found on this hunt. We'll keep at this several nights. Make sure our plants, especially a lot of the young ones, can get through and grow and mature a bit. What's going on, bug? You out here with me? Huh? Trying to take over the spotlight here? Yeah? So out here at night, looking around, I just wonder at times what my neighbors think is going on in there. Drive by, or you look down the street and you see one of your neighbors got a big old bright light coming out of his front room. I don't know if you necessarily think, hey, that guy must be growing peppers in there. Sure glad I live in Oregon though too, because I'm sure if I lived anywhere else, some authorities have probably been stopped by already. It's the next day, and we got a couple of strategies I'm going to take a look at in dealing with some of those pests that we're going to have around our gardens this season. I've got a few that I'm dealing with, many more I haven't even seen yet. We all deal with a bunch of different types of pests, and there are a lot of different strategies out there to take care of those. We're going to try just a few different ones that I've found online. Haven't really tried much of them yet. We're gonna see how they work. No real expectations really at this point. Pests in the garden are something that we really just got to keep an eye on and deal with periodically as they show up. And they're going to show up, and we're going to have to deal with them. They're going to come back. They're just going to be a problem in the garden that we have to live with. So we'll just have to do the best we can with them. So let's take a look at a couple of things that we're going to do, dealing with a couple of different types of pests that we got around the garden. Real quick though, I'm going to take a look. As you can see, the devastation that all of the different bugs are doing to these sunflowers. And some of them literally got their whole tips eaten off. So we're gonna thin these out, only pick out a couple of them and let them stay. We're also going to work on getting our alleyway planted out with our corns, beans, and squash. We're going to do the Three Sisters here. We'll be checking that out in an upcoming video. Gardening can be a real tough job with guys like these hanging around. Need to set up some traps, as well as get up underneath of our rocks and eradicate as many of these as we can. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to try to take care of our snail and slug problem is a method you'll see many videos on YouTube talking about and showing, and that will be the use of beer. What we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of these yogurt containers. Simple as that. I'm going to take one of them, however, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple of holes in the bottom. Alright, so with the holes on the bottom there, set that into that one. We're going to add our beer, which should attract the slugs to go into the cup to get into the beer, and as they get into the beer, then they find themselves trapped inside of the beer. Now the next day, after there are slugs in there, as we'll hopefully see here coming up, we'll just pull them out. Get rid of our slugs and reuse our beer for a couple more days. So let's go find a spot in the garden. We're going to use this area to test out whether or not this beer method will work in our garden. So as you see, I already set up a hole, just enough for the come in. Have it just above the soil level like that. They should crawl out of here, climb up in there, and find some beer to enjoy. One of the other things we're going to try here is this snail and slug bait. I just want to caution anybody, if you're going to use something like this, make sure you're looking for the active ingredients of iron phosphate, as any other type of repellent or whatever for slugs and whatnot is probably not safe for your plants otherwise. Hiding mostly is right up back in here, up underneath of rocks, down inside of those crevices, all sorts of places. So we'll try to put some bait right along those edges. Obviously, we're having some real pest problems on our Brussels sprouts. And we have a very similar situation going on with the Brussels sprouts in the container. Not quite as bad yet. But as we all may see in the garden during this time of year and throughout the season, a very pretty little butterfly dancing around in your garden. little pretty butterfly is not very pretty after all when you find out that it's laying eggs up underneath of your plant leaves. Now what you'll want to do is you'll want to get up underneath of your plants, start looking for that little green culprit. I mean, at this point in time, I imagine he's just a really small guy hiding out in here. Really getting to eating on that leaf there really good. And this one too, they really can go to town. Even just one little caterpillar can eat a lot of your plants. So now let's get down. I bet you this is where he's at. Oh, look at him. There he is. Right there. A little guy there. We get bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're also even a little bit smaller. They'll hide into the little cracks, especially into these little new leaves, and spend their time crawling around your whole plant, munching on it. I think what I'm going to end up doing though is probably going around the garden with the brassicas and spraying around some BT and try that out and see how well that'll work to eliminate this particular problem. And here's a little view behind one of my planter pots. Nice little family of pincher bugs, earwigs as they're also known. These guys will do a amount of terrible damage to your plants, especially the little buds and brand new stuff growing out. I find that those cabbage loopers really like to eat the more developed leaves. But these guys, they like the brand new stuff, the baby leaves. Now in case of the earwigs or pincher bugs, we're going to try another method. We're going to get a container with a lid. You can use a smaller container, that'll be just fine as well. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put in some holes. And these holes are going to allow for the earwigs to enter into your container. What we're going to do is we're going to pour in a nice little layer of soy sauce. And a nice layer of any old cooking oil. The soy sauce is going to attract the bugs to the trap. Once they get inside, the oil will get into their parts and suffocate them, and they will die. So you just set up the lid. They'll enter in through there, and then every couple of days you change this out. I'm going to set that one in a spot. I know we have plenty of those that crawl around here. I'm getting a preventive stance on this area here as I'm about ready to be planting this out. So we're going to start trapping them now. What are you doing, bug? You're rolling around out here. You're rolling around out here. Ay, 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 ay. So it seems my one rose from this rose bush, the only one I got to come up so far. Maybe there'll be more, but if anybody sees on my Facebook page, I presented that flower for moms on Mother's Day, and it does seem like somebody else thought their mom should have it. That's too bad. However, we do have this big beauty. It's got plenty of flowers. I don't know why they didn't just come and take those. Oh well, there's more to come. So we put together several different strategies to take care of those pests in our garden. So let's hope that they take care of some of the population of those pests. And as I said before, there's a lot of things that we're just gonna have to deal with when it comes to pests in our garden. We just gotta keep a firm eye out, make sure that they're not doing too much damage, and take care of them the best that we can. So let's hope that the strategies that we've put in place into our garden actually take care of some of those populations, like I said. And let's go visit the community garden. All right, everybody, we're down at the community garden right now. We're just checking out a few things. I planted out some stuff the other day. As you know, we were chased away by that storm, and I finally did get back to the park to finish up the work, plant out some starts. We're back here today to finish out planting some other starts, some watermelons, cantaloupes, and things like that we're going to get started in the second plot. Got a few things to do, working on that. I wanted to show you a couple of things here. We have one more bug. I'm going to show you that in a second, but I just wanted to take a look real quick. Right down in the walkway, I just noticed we got a nice head of some red leaf lettuce. And it looks like some green oak leaf as well. All right, so we've taken a look at a bunch of pests and bugs at the home garden. I'm down at the community garden right now, and I wanted to show you one other bug that I just noticed in the gardens here. Let's get down and take a look at it. If you see in your garden is not some sort of just soap or fuzz or something that floated along or anything. This is literally a bug. Inside of this soapy looking stuff is a little bug. There he is, hiding out in there. See him moving around. Try to get on focus here. There we go. See that? I don't have the exact name of it right now. I'll put that on the screen. Let's see if I can't get this guy out for a second. Alright, there he is. So yeah, if you see that soapy stuff that's on your plants, this guy right here, he's the one who's hanging out inside there. Just a little look at some of the plants that we planted out the other day. And then I'm going to spend a few minutes here planting out some of the starts I brought down, and we'll take a look at those as well. Okay, so the other day we planted out some of our other plant starts there. We got some Swiss chard, we got some lettuces here, and red leaf lettuce there. Planted out some broccolis. I believe that's a romaine, arugula. We got a cabbage, some mustard greens, and then we've got some kales. I got dinosaur kale, we've got the red Russian kale, and curly kale. I believe some more mustard green there, and I think another cabbage of sort back there, I'm not sure. Or no, that was the escorle. We put in a little bunch of parsley up in the corner, along with a watermelon that we have here. This is a white watermelon, has a white inside to it. I'm gonna fill this up here. I'm gonna try to fill up this whole bed pretty much with melons and squash all the way up. So we've got a couple of different squash plants and a couple down this way here as well. I did let one of our sunflowers survive. We'll see how well he does. And then we put in some more squash. We've got basically some zucchinis and I believe down there butternut squash as well. I've got some spaghetti squash and crookneck squash as well that'll be going in here too. Some of our plant starts we're going to plant out that we got from our home starts. And here, take a look at our onions that we've got going on here. They're all going to flower here real soon. I'm sure those flowers will start popping out real soon. And not all of them have gone to flower either. We do have a couple in here that have actually been sizing up their bulbs instead of flowering. We'll let those grow out just a little bit more and then we'll harvest those up. And as you can see, look at our peas we planted out in a previous episode. They're doing really well, climbing up our fence just really nicely. And then our Walla Walla onions doing the same. Heading to flower real soon. And in the background there, as you can see, that's our oregano bulb. Growing back just nicely, right after that big haircut we gave it. Alright, now in here, I did plant out a, I believe that is a cucumber plant, a long Armenian cucumber. Eventually we will have a tomato cage set up here, as well as tomatoes will be coming up the middle here. We'll be planting those out next week. And down here we've got a lemon cucumber, and I planted out that sorrel. And those leeks that we got, they've gone to flower too. So they should be popping out flowers and seeds here real soon as well. So that's kind of just a little bit of a tour of what we got going on just in our community garden plots. I know it's not much right now. We're just getting started with this season. So hopefully eventually as you follow along, please subscribe down below if you can. And follow along with us and see how well these plants do. I'm gonna go ahead and spend a couple more minutes here planting out some of the rest of those plant starts we got over there, and then I'll give you a look at what we put in. right, let's check out some other things growing on here at the community garden. Someone down here has got themselves a really nice artichoke plant. Look at all them fruits. These things can get really big. So one of the things you got to remember too when you're planting out plants, think about the space that they're going to take when they're full size, not just where you're planting them. Right, we got all of our plant starts put in for today. I do have more plants. We're going to be filling them out with some tomatoes and peppers coming up this next week. Got a bunch more things to get done as we got episodes coming up. We're going to be taking care of our tomatoes that we're hardening off right now. Be coming right up here in one of our upcoming episodes. We'll be putting the pepper plants up on the roof. So there's a lot more to look forward to. If you really like this video, please hit the like button below. And if you can, hit the subscribe button. Follow along with what we're going to be growing this season and check out more upcoming videos that I have planned for us. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today on this episode of The Urban Gardener. See you again next time. Pests we've seen around our garden. We're going to try to see how well... Okay, different... I don't know why I'm not saying this exactly what I'm saying. Pigs, the cucumber moths,